Corning Cable Systems is pleased to provide video installation instructions for the Unicam Pretium Performance Connector using the Unicam Pretium Toolkit. In the video, you will learn how to install a Unicam Pretium Performance Connector using the Unicam Pretium tool. Unicam connectors are faster and easier to install than other field installable connectors because no epoxy nor polishing is required in the field, unlike heat-cured or anaerobic connectors. In fact, a Unicam Pretium Performance Connector installed with the Pretium Unicam Toolkit takes less than 1 minute to install. Another significant advantage of the Unicam connector is that it takes less space and far less equipment and no consumables to install, making it a fast and easy termination method for areas with limited physical space. Unicam connectors are the most cost-effective field termination method. You may also view the standard recommended procedure for installation of this or any other Landscape Solutions product at our website, www.corning.com/cable systems. Please note, Corning Cable Systems always recommends wearing safety glasses when handling chemicals and cleaving fiber. You should become familiar with the items found in the Unicam Pretium Toolkit. Each Unicam Pretium Toolkit contains a Unicam crimp tool for use when installing Unicam connectors on jacketed cable, a dual-hole stripping tool, a cable jacket stripper, a Unicam Pretium installation tool, a 1.25 mm ferrule adapter for use in the Unicam Pretium installation tool when installing LC connectors, an FBC 015 Pretium cleaver, Corning fiber optic cleaning fluid, Corning fiber optic fiber wipes, a retractable black permanent marker, scissors, a trash container, and a strip length gauge. In preparation for installing the Unicam connector, you should first prepare the installation tool. First, ensure the components of the tool are in the start position, with the VFL coupler slid back toward the lid hinge and in the locked position. Verify that the load button is released and the connector cradle is against its travel stop. Ensure that the wrench is in the closed position. If not, press the reset button. We will be installing an SC connector, which means that the 2.5 mm ferrule adapter should be installed within the tool. When installing SC or ST connectors, you should use this ferrule adapter. When installing LC connectors, you will remove the 2.5 mm ferrule adapter and replace it with a 1.25 mm ferrule adapter. Switch the power on. Once the tool is on, the power light will glow. The power switch and light are located in the upper left corner. If the power light flashes or doesn't glow, the batteries need to be changed. Changing the battery is shown later in this video. The battery life of the Unicam Pretium tool is approximately 1,000 terminations. Now we will begin the connector preparation. Remove the rear dust cap. Remove the clear ferrule dust cap and visually inspect the connector. If you're installing an LC or an ST connector, you should leave the black load adapters on these connectors in place. Squeeze the load button. This will move the connector cradle away from the wrench. With the connector oriented up, load the connector into the tool by inserting it, lead-in tube first, into the wrench. Ensure that the cam is completely seated in the wrench and that the lead-in tube rests between the crimp arms, with the flare visible beyond the crimp arms. Slowly release the load button while guiding the connector into the connector cradle. Ensure the connector is firmly seated in the cradle. Slide the VFL coupler down so that the ferrule adapter is seated on the connector. Close the tool cover and check the error light to ensure that it remains off. If the error light flashes, you may need to remove the VFL coupler and reseat the connector. Set the installation tool aside and prepare the field fiber for termination. The first step for SC and ST connectors is to slide on the appropriate boot. The 900 micron boot is shown here, which is used with 900 micron tight buffered applications and 900 micron furcated applications. The 2.9 mm boot is used with jacketed cable. With LC connectors, you'll need to install the appropriate boot, then the LC trigger. We will be installing this SC connector on a 900 micron tight buffered fiber. Using the strip length gauge and the retractable permanent marker, measure and mark the cable 40 millimeters from the end of the buffered fiber. This will be the strip length. For SC and ST connectors, measure and place a visual mark on the buffer an additional 11 millimeters back from the 40 millimeter mark. This mark must be made on the buffer, as it serves as a visual aid to indicate when the field fiber contacts the fiber stub. For LC connectors, you will mark the buffer 9 millimeters back from the 40 millimeter mark. You will now need your dual-hole fiber stripping tool. As the name describes, this tool has 2 notches to make fiber stripping easier. The largest V-notch is used to strip the 900 micron buffer, while the smaller V-notch is used to strip the 250 micron coating from the fiber. For the best and easiest results, hold the tool perpendicular to the fiber. Place the 900 micron buffered fiber within the large V-notch and gently squeeze the tool shut. Use a smooth, straight pull to remove the 40 millimeter section of buffer. After the 900 micron buffer has been removed, 40 millimeters of the 250 micron coating will be exposed. Use the smaller V-notch now. Remove the 40 millimeters of 250 micron coating. Again, hold the tool perpendicular to the fiber. Gently squeeze the tool shut and remove the coating with one smooth, straight pull. Dampen a fiber wipe with the fiber optic cleaning fluid and clean the bare fiber with 2 passes of the fiber wipe. Do not touch the bare fiber after cleaning it, and take care not to remove the visual mark. Now it is time to cleave the prepared fiber. Ensure that both clamps are clean and clear of fiber. Squeeze and hold both buttons at the same time to open the clamps within the cleaver. Place the fiber in the slot so that the bare fiber is in the V-groove and the coating is aligned with the alignment mark on the cleaver. The fiber should rest completely under the tab. Fully release button B, then release button A. Ensure that both the bare and coated portions of the fiber are secure in the clamps. Slowly turn the cleave knob 360 degrees. This precisely cleaves the fiber. Now squeeze button A to remove the scrap fiber. This can be placed in the scrap bin located conveniently within the cleaver. If the fiber scrap bin is full, squeeze the bin release button to remove the bin and properly dispose of the scrap fiber. While you are doing this, the cleaved field fiber remains securely in place within the second clamp of the cleaver. Now squeeze button B to remove the cleaved field fiber. It is now time to complete the termination using the Unicam Pretium installation tool. Insert the cleaved fiber into the fiber lead-in tube. Insert the fiber until you feel it firmly stop against the fiber stub. The visual mark you previously placed on the fiber should be within 2 millimeters of the lead-in tube. While maintaining enough inward pressure to create a slight bend in the fiber, squeeze the cam button until it locks. Check the termination lights. If the green light is illuminated, the termination was successful. Do not press the reset button until the connector is removed. In rare instances, the red light will illuminate, indicating the termination was not successful. If this is the case, press the reset button, then remove and reseat the fiber and squeeze the cam button again. If the red light continues to illuminate, you may need to remove, recleave, or reinsert the fiber. When the green light illuminates, indicating a successful termination, turn the crimp knob 180 degrees, clockwise or counterclockwise. Slight resistance while turning the knob is normal. Turning the crimp knob crimps the lead-in tube onto the fiber, thus locking the connector to the fiber. Do not press the reset button until you have removed the connector from the tool. Doing so uncams the connector. Open the lid and slide the VFL coupler back into its starting position. Slightly squeeze the load button and remove the connector from the tool by lifting it straight up and out. For SC connectors, reinstall the clear Ferrule dust cap and slide the boot up the back of the connector until it reaches the cam. Install the outer shroud by lining up the date code with the key side of the outer shroud. Using the boot, push the Unicam connector assembly into the rear of the outer shroud until it snaps into place. For ST connectors, after removing the connector from the tool, remove the black load adapter and reinstall the clear Ferrule dust cap. Then slide up the boot until it reaches the cam. For LC connectors, remove the black load adapter and replace the clear Ferrule dust cap. Slide up the LC trigger until it latches into the connector housing. Then slide up the boot under the trigger until it stops. If you are installing additional connectors, press the reset button to make the tool ready for the next connector. Once you are finished installing connectors, slide the power switch to off, close the lid, and return the tool to the toolkit. When terminating an SC, ST, or LC Unicam connector on jacketed cable, the fiber preparation process changes. First, slide the 2.9 mm boot onto the cable. Then, use your strip gauge to measure and mark 40 mm from the end of the cable's outer jacket. Place a second mark an additional 13 mm past the 40 mm mark. Using your cable stripping tool, select the notch in the tool appropriate to the cable's outside diameter. Place the cable within the notch of the tool at the 40 mm visual mark on the cable jacket, holding the tool perpendicular to the fiber for the best results. Close the jaws of the tool over the buffer and squeeze the jaws shut to cut the jacketing. If the material is not cleanly cut on the first try, rotate the tool slightly and complete the cut. Remove the tool and carefully slide the jacketing off by hand. Use the scissors to trim the aramid yarn flush with the edge of the jacket. Once again, using your cable stripping tool, strip off the 13 mm section of jacket. Use your strip gauge to confirm that 13 mm of aramid yarn are exposed above the edge of the jacket. Fold the aramid yarn back over the cable jacket and slide the crimp ring, which came with the Unicam connector, about 5 mm down the yarn to hold it out of the way. For SC and ST connectors, mark the 900 micron buffer coating at 11 mm from the edge and a second mark at the edge of the cable jacket. We are working with an SC connector here. This second mark is a visual aid to indicate when the field fiber contacts the fiber stub. For LC connectors, mark the 900 micron buffer at 11 mm and a second mark at 2 mm. Using your dual-hole fiber stripping tool at the first mark, remove the buffer and coating of the fiber to the first mark. Use the large V-notch to remove the 900 micron buffer and the small V-notch to remove the 250 micron coating. Remember to hold the tool perpendicular to the fiber for the best results. Use your strip gauge to verify the location of the second mark. For SC and ST connectors, it must be near the edge of the cable jacket. For LC connectors, it must be within 2 mm of the jacket's edge. Dampen a fiber wipe with the fiber optic cleaning fluid and clean the bare fiber with 2 passes of the fiber wipe. Do not touch the bare fiber after cleaning it, and take care not to remove the visual mark. Cleave the cleaned fiber and terminate it within the Unicam Pretium tool as shown earlier. Once the connector is terminated on the fiber and removed from the tool, hold the cable and slide the crimp ring backward down the cable to free the aramid yarn. Flare the yarn around the buffered fiber. The ends of the yarn should just touch the back of the square cam. If the yarn is too long, you may trim it to the correct length. Hold the connector and push the crimp ring over the yarn and against the back of the connector's cam. Place the connector crimp ring into the opening of the crimp tool's jaws and squeeze the handles shut until they automatically release, crimping the crimp ring onto the connector. Remove the connector and cable from the tool. You should only use the crimp tool that is supplied with the Unicam Pretium toolkit. Other, similar appearing tools may over-crimp, causing increased attenuation. For SC connectors, reinstall the clear ferrule dust cap and slide the boot up the back of the connector until it reaches the cam. Install the outer shroud by lining up the date code with the key side of the outer shroud. Using the boot, push the Unicam connector assembly into the rear of the outer shroud until it snaps into place. When terminating an SC, ST, or LC Unicam connector on furcated 250 micron fiber, ensure that 44 millimeters of 250 micron fiber extends beyond the 900 micron buffer. Using the strip gauge, measure and mark the 250 micron coated fiber 4 millimeters from the end of the fan-out tube. Now you will mark the fan-out tubing to create a visual mark to aid you when inserting the field fiber into the installation tool. For SC and ST connectors, measure and mark the fan-out tube 11 millimeters back from its edge. For LC connectors, measure and mark the fan-out tubing 9 millimeters back from the end of the tubing. At the 4 millimeter mark on the fiber, remove the 250 micron coating from the fiber using the small V-notch in the dual-hole fiber stripping tool. It is important to leave 4 millimeters of the 250 micron fiber extending beyond the tubing. Clean and cleave the field fiber and terminate it within the Unicam Pretium tool as shown earlier. You will use the standard process for 900 micron fiber termination from this point forward. The battery cover for the Unicam Pretium installation tool is located on the bottom side of the tool. Remove the cover using a standard flathead screwdriver. Replace the two AAA batteries following the polarity indicators. Put the battery cover back on and tighten the screw, being careful not to over-tighten the screw. When swapping out the ferrule adapter between SC and ST versus LC connectors, loosen and remove the adapter coupling nut from the FC port. Locate the new ferrule adapter. Remove the clear ferrule dust cap and clean the ferrule surface. Install the new ferrule adapter onto the FC port in the VFL coupler. Be sure that the key on the ferrule adapter is aligned with the keyway on the FC port. Then tighten the ferrule adapter firmly. It is recommended that you clean the ferrule adapter after every 100 connector installations. Select the correct size adapter cleaning stick from your toolkit. Insert the cleaning stick into the adapter opening and rotate the tip clockwise 10 revolutions, varying the pressure gently to thoroughly clean the interior. Dispose of the cleaning stick after use, as these should not be used more than once.